All right, guys. Good morning. Happy Monday. Hate that I'm not there today. Wish I could be, but I am currently at home taking care of Chandler. So if you are watching this, that means you have already completed these 5 questions. The good thing about posting this stuff on Canvas is I'm able to see what links you're clicking first. So that's good for me. I know people are doing the questions before they're watching the video because, guys, if you're watching the video first, that just tells me you're getting the answers and then going to click the form. So if you're doing that, just know I know. Great thing about technology, but hopefully you're watching this after the fact. So if you maybe missed 2 or 3 of those, you're able to watch. Guys, you can pause and take notes just like you normally would. I think that's important. You can rewatch as much as you want, so you get to go at your own pace here. And even if you got a 5, I hope you're still watching because the questions will be a little bit different as the week goes on, especially number 5. So any notes you can take, any pictures you can draw or add to your Fam5 notebook, I think it'll help. So 4 of these questions, 1, 2, 3, and 5, came from our most missed questions on EOG Friday. And it was really easy for me to take the ones from that sheet because we did really well on 10 of them. And then these 4 specific questions, we had under 70% proficiency. That's normally where I put a red flag. So I was kind of interested to see the ones that we struggle with just because we've, had a lot of practice with some of these. But I can get maybe questions like 1 and 2 where it's been a while since we've done it. So doesn't hurt to toss it in here and get some practice. So when we're looking at number 1, I try to, when I give you the keywords on EOG Friday, I mean, I put them in capital letters and I underlined them. Some people still didn't read. And I'm going to kind of go away from that because I need you to be able to identify those keywords on your own. But number 1 says Evan has a square bedroom with an area of 64 square feet. What is the perimeter of his bedroom? So as you're watching this, you can look up at my wall. I don't know exactly where, but there is an area and perimeter anchor chart somewhere hanging in my classroom. The first thing, if I'm reading a little and doing a little, if it says Evan's got a square bedroom, I would absolutely have a square drawn on my paper. And when I think of a square, I'd go ahead and add these lines on there because I know it's got 4 equal sides, every square. All right, that's important. It also told me the area. It measured the inside for me and said it's equal to 64 square feet. And right underneath that, when I think area, I would have said, I also know that area is equal to length times width. Okay, so I know I had to do something times something to get that area. And the significance of it being a square is I know those sides have to be the same. So I had to do a number times itself in order to give me 64. So if you know your facts, you can probably get this pretty quickly. If you don't, you can still work your way up. Try 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, up until you get it. Now, if you know your facts, 8 times 8 would give you 64. Now, if one side is 8, they're all going to be 8. On EOG Friday, people were choosing that as the answer. Guys, if it wants to know the perimeter of this square, I have to add all the way around that shape. I could go 8 plus 8 plus 8 plus 8, repeated addition. Instead of that, I could just do 8 times 4. Either way, that's going to give me a perimeter of 32 feet. If you're choosing the answer choice of A, you're just not reading. You're saying that 64 is either the length or the width. You're going 64 plus 64 plus 64 plus 64. Guys, you've got to read. It tells you exactly what these numbers represent. You just got to put them in the right spot. That was our second most missed question on Friday. So hopefully when you're doing that question, you've got that square, you've got this information kind of jotted out to the side. And again, if you know your facts, you're in good shape. It helps yourself a lot. And by the way, all of these sheets are going to come to me. So we'll do all our numbers when I get back, but I'll be able to see who got my 5s and I'll be able to see numbers for every question individually. It lays out the data really clearly for me, which I like. All right, question number 2 is another area perimeter question, and it was the most missed question. And I think once I go over it, you're going to say, wow, we've actually done that one a lot. And it comes back down to drawing a picture, reading a little, doing a little. It says the football field has a perimeter of 124 feet. If it is 40 feet long, how many feet wide is it? So what I would do is draw my football field. And guys, if it doesn't say the shape, I'm normally going to draw a rectangle every time. And it gives me the distance around. I know the total distance around is 124, and it also gives me a side. It tells me it's 40 feet long. And if it gives me the top and I know opposite sides are equal, I can go ahead and put 40 down there as well. Guys, this is one of those questions where it is impossible to miss it if you check your work. Like, I could get right here, and then I could start plugging in answer choices. Like, I could take 84 and put it right here and right here. And I can add all the way around, see if it gives me 124. I could plug in 80. I could plug in 44. I could plug in 22. Okay. I could do that, and it might take me a little bit of time. Or if I want to get it in one shot, here's what I'm going to do. Let me add up what I already have, 40 plus 40, which you guys could probably do some mental math on that. I know right now I've got 80 of my total 124 feet. Well, if I want to figure out what's left, I would take away what I already have. Let me get rid of that 80. Okay, so 4 minus 0 is 4. 2 minus 8 I can't do. More on the floor, we're going next door. 1 becomes a 0, 2 becomes a 12, and then 12 minus 8 is 4. Okay, that means I've got 44 feet left. I'm going to go ahead and guess that that's going to be the most common answer that people who missed it chose. Okay, but guys, that 44 feet, I can't just put that here and here. Because if I add all the way around, that's going to be more than 124. The 44 is right, but I got to take that 44 and I got to split it between two sides. And anytime I'm going to split, I'm going to divide that into those two sides. Now, you might not know 44 divided by 2 off the top of your head, but I know for a fact we could do some long division there. But if I did 44 divided by 2, that's going to give me 22. And here's how I'll know if you checked it. If you do 40 plus 40 and you get 80, 22 plus 22, what did I just do? Plus 22, what is happening? Plus 22 gives me 44. And then I add that 80 and that 44 together, that gives me 124, which is exactly what my perimeter had to be. Number 2 is a question we should be Ric Flairing. All you got to do is plug in your answer and see if it works. And you can do it from the very start if that's what you want to do. It might take you a little bit longer. So that one is going from the most missed on Friday to me should be the one that we have the most correct answers on moving towards the end of the week. All right, question number 3. Clear that out. Hold on one second. I got to pause this. I got a crying baby. All right, be right back. All right, sorry about that. All right, we're back. Number 3 says, Armani answered more of her flashcards than Mr. Huber. If Armani answered half of her cards, what fraction below could represent the amount of cards Mr. Huber answered? This is a great question because the lazy people won't get this one right. You've got to be willing to do a little bit of work on this one. This is important right here. Armani answered more. Her number has to be greater than mine. Guys, if it gives you her number of 1/2, I can compare her fraction with all of these answer choices. And all I know is that her number, her fraction has got to be greater. So let's say we took A 4/5. Okay, and we cross multiplied these. 5 times 1 is 5. 2 times 4 is 8. Well, if I completed 4/5 of my cards, that would mean I completed more, and that's not what the question says. Okay, so that would be incorrect. Okay, so this is basically trial and error. I'm plugging them in. I'm giving them a go. Let's do 4 sevens. 2 times 4 is 8. 7 times 1 is 7. Again, she had to complete more. If her fraction is less than mine, that can't be the answer. All right, so we've gotten rid of A. We've gotten rid of B. Let's try 3/4. All right, same deal. 2 times 3 is 6. 4 times 1 is 4. Once again, her fraction is less. That cannot be the case if she answered more questions than me or more cards than me. So if we've gotten rid of A, B, and C, I feel pretty good about the answer being 1/3. We'll check it anyways. 2 times 1 is 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Armani's fraction would be greater than mine if I completed 1/3 of the cards. So the comparing fractions, that's nothing new. It's just a matter of, hey, who has to have more, and then which of those fractions would be less than her 1/2. That one's going to come down to just reading and doing the work this week. I was kind of surprised that one was one of our top lowest. But I had a lot of people who were choosing A as the correct answer, which was a greater fraction, and then they didn't even have work for B, C, and D. So that's kind of what I mean when I say you got to read and you got to do the work. So I'll be interested to see how we do in that one. Normally, what happens with you guys, and it drives me crazy, I'll take the most missed questions from EOG Friday, and then on Fantastic Five, we'll do great, which means we're capable of doing them. It's just sometimes we're giving the effort and sometimes we're not. But I guess that's a good thing if we're able to do it. All right, so number 4 is new. Number 4 is something we haven't done before, and I love this question. It's kind of going to go with what you're doing in math today, which you'll see in the video, with something just a little bit different. So it says Trace, Xavier, and Parker are running a race. Trace has completed 6/10 of the race. Xavier has completed 48 hundredths of the race, and Parker has completed 23 hundredths of the race. Who has completed the most? Well, here's what's going to happen. I would bet that most people are probably going to choose Xavier as the answer because I see 6, 48, and 23. People are going to say 48 is the greatest. Well, there's a couple problems with that. One, guys, I can't compare a fraction to a decimal. I just can't. So when I write these out, 6/10, 48 hundredths, and 23 hundredths. My first step is I got to make these look the same. So I either have to show all of these in decimals, which we did last week, or I have to show all of these in fractions, which we also did. Now, make your life easier. Would it make more sense to change all of these to fractions or all of these to decimals? If you're asking me, it would make way more sense to change all of them to fractions because 2 of the 3 are already in fractions. You might be sitting there and saying, well, I feel more comfortable with decimals. Well, if you want to change them to decimals, go for it. But for me, I would change the 48 hundredths that I have as a decimal. I would write that as a fraction and make it look like this. So now I've got 3 different fractions. Now, I still got a problem here. Something you're going to hear me say a lot in the next video when you're watching the comparing and ordering decimals. If I'm going to compare these, they have to look the same. They absolutely have to. And right now they don't. I have 2 of them in hundredths, 1 of them in tenths. To me, it makes a lot more sense to change all of these to hundredths because I can always go tenths to hundredths. So 23 hundredths is good, 48 hundredths is good, 6/10, I just need to change to hundredths. Guys, now I can compare these because they all look the same. They're all in hundredths, they're all fractions. And if I want to know who completed the most, I don't have to cross multiply these. They all have the same denominator. I just have to look at the numerator. That answer would be Trace because when in hundredths, 60 hundredths would be the greatest. Well, when you look at the numbers up here, a lot of people would say Trace had the least because he only had 6. That's why we can't compare them just like they are. We have to make sure they look the exact same. And like I said, you're going to see that in the comparing decimals video that you watch after this. And we're going to get a lot of practice with this week and next week. That would be the only question to me that I would expect to be fairly low, only because we hadn't seen it before. Would I be surprised if it was high? No, because you guys are great. But something new like that, I'm not really sweating that one as much. I'm more anxious to see how we do with that one later on in the week. All right, question number 5. This one's been killing us for a while. These interpreting remainder questions. These are tough because I'm not worried about the math. I'm not worried about you getting yourself some answer choices. You just have to do exactly what the question's called. You have to interpret the remainder. What am I supposed to do with it? And it always depends what the question's asking. So it says, I have 49 tickets to give out for question of the day. If I want to give an equal amount of tickets to each of the 6 people in the front row, how many tickets will they each get? Well, guys, when you see the word each, we know we could be multiplying or dividing. But when I see equal amount and when I look at all my answer choices getting smaller, I feel pretty good about doing the division. So 49 divided by 6. We've come a long way with our long division. We used to really, really struggle. I feel really good about where we're at now. So dangerous monkeys, white bananas. When we're dividing, I know 6 cannot go into 4, but it can go into 49. Since I know my facts, I know it can go in 8 times. All right. Then I'm going to multiply that 6 times 8 and give me 48. And then I'm going to subtract 49 minus 48, and I'm going to get 1. There's nothing to bring down, so I'm finished. That gives me 8 remainder 1. All right, so something we talk about all the time. There is no such thing as 8 remainder 1 tickets, okay? What I can do is I can come up with 3 possibilities, by using the remainder. I could say, hey, let me ignore the remainder. One of my answers could be 8. Or you might say, let me use the remainder. One of my answers could be 1. Or you could use that remainder to push up and say, well, maybe my answer would be 9. So I've got 3 possible answer choices, which automatically gets rid of one of the ones that it's given me. Okay, so right now I got like a 33% chance to get this question right. So it wants to know how many tickets they're each going to get. So look, I'm either going to have 8 tickets for all 6 people, 1 ticket for all 6 people, or 9 tickets for all 6 people. I can always check this interpreting remainders with multiplication. So let's just get these numbers real quick. If I had 8 tickets for all 6 people, that would give me 48 tickets. If I had 1 ticket for all 6 people, that would be 6 tickets. And if I had 9 tickets for all 6 people, that would be 54 tickets. Now, when I'm looking at those totals, the one that I'd probably get rid of pretty quickly would be 1. Because, guys, if I had 6 people and I each gave them 1 ticket, I would still have 43 tickets to give out. They could get way more than just 1. So while 1 ticket is possible, you'd have way more left over and they could keep getting more. Now, when I get rid of that, to me, this gets a lot easier because look what it says right here. I have 49 tickets. You cannot tell me that the answer is 9 because, guys, if you're giving 9 tickets away, that means you've given out 54 tickets, and that's not what you have. That's not possible. The reason why your answer is 8 is, go back to your original answer. They would each get 8 tickets, and that would leave 1 left over. Well, if they want to all have an equal amount, I can't just give one person in the front row an extra ticket. That's not what the question wants me to do. I have to give an equal amount. So each person would get 8 tickets. Yes, there would be 1 left over, but if we want them to have an equal amount, that would have to be the case. Now, I could ask this question a different way. I could say, if I want to give an equal amount of tickets to each of the people in the front row, how many will be left over? Then you could say, hey, it would be 1. So depending on what the question asks this week, we'll decide if whether you have to ignore the remainder, use the remainder, or push up. But if you're checking right here with multiplication, that makes it so helpful. The ones with the remainder being the answer, we've done well with those all year because we know keywords to look for. But this right here is going to be super important. I'm going to clear those out. All right, guys. I hope that helped. I hope you had some notes that you're able to put in your notebook because I definitely want you to use them tomorrow. I'm anxious to see, kind of what kind of growth we're showing. But I'm very excited to get back on Wednesday and see how we do in person. So we'll see. Hopefully you're using those notes. Hopefully this provided something for you. Make sure you guys are reading everything on Canvas. Make sure you're watching the videos. Make sure you're listening carefully. And I think I said this on I can't remember what I posted, but if you guys have any questions, all you got to do, shoot me an email and I'll try to help you out. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day.